Adding just one simple element to sales communication has proven to increase revenue by 6,200%. I'm Dr. Dan, I'm a coach. I teach communication strategies to entrepreneurs who want to increase revenue. And in this video, we're talking about how adding one simple thing that I've experienced can increase revenue by 6,200%. You heard me right, 6,200%. Sounds crazy, I know, but I'm gonna show you exactly how it was done and how you can do it. And this is what fires me up, because what I teach is things that can be reproducible. Even if you're an amateur, you can sound like a veteran, drive revenue like a professional by adding the elements of brain-based communication that influence people to want to buy, not coercing them to buy. So this was a study done by a guy named Rob Walker. And truthfully, what he wanted to do is he was baffled why Michael Jackson's red leather coat worn in the music video Thriller was sold for $1.5 million when you can go get one just like it for $100 or less. So he had a hunch, he had an idea of why, but he wanted to put it to the test. And truthfully, I want you to think about that. How does that happen? How could a baseball that was hit over the fence at a specific time that broke a specific record be worth so much? Have you ever thought about that? How could something be so different even though it's the same? So I love the psychology behind this, because you can adopt this same strategy in your business, in your sales, in your communication to increase the revenue of what you're trying to do. So here's what Rob did. He sat down his computer and he logged into eBay and he bought an item for 99 cents. And that item specifically was this. You could see worth $1 at most. But then what he did was the fascinating part. He called an author and he asked them if they would be willing to write a story about this one item. The author obliged and did just that. And then Rob decided, you know what? I'm not just gonna do this for this one item. I'm gonna find 199 other items just like it, all for $1 or less. And he decided, I'm gonna find a total of 200 authors who will write a story for each item, and we're gonna put them back up for sale. And this is stuff that geeks me out. I get so fired up about this because I know that the same principle that he used, you can use in your business, in your sales, to drive your revenue, to create your brand and your reputation. So here's what happened. That one 99-cent item with one story turned into $62.95. Rob sold that one random measly item for $62.95. That is a 6,295% increase in revenue by adding just one thing, a story. If you look at the research, he sold all 200 items. Initially, he bought them for $129, and what he collected through his sales process, adding just one story, was close to $8,000. Now, I wanna break this down for you, and I wanna show you how you can use this. Clearly, that was a fraudulent act and they end up returning the money, but the research is crystal clear on that. When you add a story to an item or a service or a brand, it increases the value. Why does this happen? It has everything to do with the brain. The science shows that we humans think in pictures and stories. And so when you can create a story, it literally goes to parts of the brain that helps them make decisions, helps them feel a certain way. It bypasses the skeptical parts that builds resistance, and it increases value because they remember it more, they care about it more, they will act on it more, and they will actually pay more. As we saw in this research, are you using the power of story, the power of your own signature story, and ultimately other stories that will help people overcome their objections so they will be willing to buy and willing to pay premium prices for what you have to offer? So I remember in 2008, I was 3 years into my first business, and I've told this story many times before, but my dad had a heart surgery that day. And after my dad was back and in recovery, I had all the emotions that day of, thinking about my dad and what could happen and why he's there and the whole situation. It led me just to a place where I just didn't care what people thought. I didn't care what people think of me. I was in that place. You've been in that place before. Well, that night in my business going back, I had a lot of sales conversations to be had, and something crazy happened. Instead of caring what they thought and thinking I've got to have the perfect words and the perfect scripting and the perfect voice, I just told my story. And I told it in a way that described why I really do what I do. That this isn't just a job or a career to me, that I'm really committed to helping them because of my own journey. Something I didn't think was relevant. I didn't think I even had a story, but that night proved to be different. I collected $30,000 in one night when my highest to date at that point was $8,000 in 1 week. So I quadrupled my greatest week in one night by using the power of my story. Months went by when I just continued to use my story. I adopted this new method of communication. But I had a police officer that had come into my business and I was doing a report. So instead of going through the story that I typically used, I thought, you know what, I can get away with it this time. It came to me presenting the financial agreement, what it was gonna take for her to get my service. And I just remember feeling almost like an imposter. I remember feeling like I didn't even have the value for what I was offering. And it was weird to me because the difference was I didn't use the power of my story. And I didn't want to tell this to my colleagues or my coaches at the time because I thought that's weird. It's almost embarrassing that I need to use a story to deliver value. I felt it, but in my head, it didn't make sense. I feel like I was an amateur. I feel like, well, I shouldn't have that feeling because I should have the words and the right scripts, and I should just trust and rely on my confidence in being able to sell. It happened again and again, and I realized when I use my story, I have a level of conviction that I could not ever get with any other words, any other scripts, or any other model of communication. And it turns out I was right. The feeling in my heart and in my gut was backed up with evidence. When I used a story, I increased so much value in my message, and therefore my perceived value, my prospects were feeling that. And when they feel it, they have a willingness to pay. And I have a confidence in my voice of, absolutely, you're gonna pay that. I almost look at my fees as, I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm not charging more. That only occurred when I used the power of my story. So obviously you can tell I will never ever not use story when it comes to sales, when it comes to communication, when it comes to brand and reputation online, in a brick and mortar op. It doesn't matter. Any business that you have, if you learn to adopt the power of storytelling and story selling, I'm telling you, you can charge premium prices and feel great about it, never feel like you gotta confront anybody, and they will happily pay you because they feel the message. Remember, people make decisions based on emotion because they feel like it for their reasons, not yours. And a story helps to bridge that gap. So I'm thankful for Rob being able to prove the value of adding that one thing, a 6,258% increase in value from adding one thing. And so you need to be adding the power of story. If you don't know how to do it or you don't know where to start, click the link below and we will help you. I have free content, I have materials, I have resources, I have programs, I have products, I have books that can help you do that. This is what I do all day, every day. Because if you have a message worth telling and you have a mission to help more people, I am telling you right now, you need to add the power of story. This is why a home run baseball can be worth millions of dollars when you can go get one just like it for $5. And that's why Michael Jackson's coat went for 1.5 million. It was simply a story that people can tell when they hang it on their wall or they put it in their case to tell other people what they have. It's all a simple story. You have one and it's time you leverage it. If you need help, let me know. Leave me a comment, hit that like button. We'll see you on the next one. Dr. Dan, I'm out.